Good morning, world, and salutations to my G4 GT viewers. If you ain't getting up going for the gusto, what you getting up for? I appreciate y'all for tuning in, but before we go on in this video, I'd appreciate and like if you like and share this video and subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so you get the new videos whenever I drop. I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And only you can help me with that. Cost you nothing, so I appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. That being said, let's get into the proceedings for this day. It was a great weekend in football. Saturday was conference championship Saturday in college football. That being said, I like to give a Hoosiers, Hoosiers. Shout out to IU Hoosiers, head coach Kurt Signetti, and the future Heisman Trophy winner, Mendoza, for pulling off the upset against former #1 Ohio State Buckeyes, the big boys on the Big Ten block, to become the current 2025 Big Ten champions. Shout out to y'all. Congratulations. They're the #1 overall seed in the college football playoff. Hopefully they succeed there. Bring home to Hoosierville their very first national championship in the college playoff system. That being said, let's get on to the bigger story in football this weekend. It was week 14 in the NFL. Yesterday was Football Sunday, December 7th, 2025, which had the big storyline of #1 overall NFL 2025 pick Cam Ward versus everybody's favorite 5th round pick, Shedeur Legendary Sanders, and the Cleveland Browns, excuse me. That being said, the boy balled out, point blank period. But the underlying headline is, that being, Kevin Stafansky needs to be fired. Because it's kind of like we said on the basketball court when we playing pickup, and you know that other person on the team is just bad, so you really playing, saying he on our side. Kevin Stafansky is for the other side when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. It's too much. It's showing too much. It's like a whole bunch of sabotage whenever Sanders is playing above average, which he's been doing since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. Went 50% passing for over 300 yards, 1 interception. He's a rookie, so you kind of expect those mistakes. But 4 total touchdowns and almost 400 total yards of offense. It was only 2 other quarterbacks yesterday that had 4 total touchdowns. 4 passing for Joe Burrow, and he threw 2 picks, 1 more than Shedeur. And Josh Allen, he threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for 1, just like Shedeur. Only difference was Shedeur had 1 interception, he had none. But in terms of total yards, Shedeur still outgained him by 50 yards. In terms of head-to-head matchup between Shedeur and the #1 overall pick, which should have been Shedeur due to performance, and we know this, but however it went, he ended up being a 5th round pick. We can call collusion, we can call sabotage, but we know it's not about where you pick, it's about where you go. And even that being said, at the end of the day, either Kevin Stefanski is going to have to be fired, or Cleveland Browns going to have to move on from Shedeur and trade him, some type of trade deal. Because if the owner is allowing these moves to happen on the field in real time, when Shedeur is putting the team in position to not only, if they tie the game, go on potentially to win, he's putting them in position to, at minimum, tie the game yesterday against the Titans. Shedeur, again, over 300 yards passing, 4 total touchdowns, led the team in rushing. And you take him out for the running back who has no passing attribute for the quarterback that has an attribute to run and scramble, extend plays, even gain good rushing yards on a broken down play for the person who can't pass, when he's the one that put you in position to potentially tie the game anyway. Cam Ward had a pretty decent game, but he was able to really rely and hang his hat on the running game because Tony Pollard rushed for over 160 yards. Cam Ward had a decent game, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but only passed for 117 yards. Shedeur outpassed him by 250 yards. Excuse me. And that's your number 1 overall pick. But that's neither here nor there. You can't complain about which organization chooses which player at which pick. But when it comes to head-to-head talent and performance, we see the results and the outcome. There's no excuse for Shedeur to have fallen that far. But that's all water under the bridge. The bigger issue is the head coach is supposed to be believing and pouring confidence into his starting quarterback. No matter who it is, even if it's Dylan Gabriel, which we've seen him give him plenty opportunities. And he ain't balled out the way Shedeur has in a limited window of starting and the limited reps of first team reps with the first team. Dylan's had, at minimum, even at this point, twice as many reps with the first team than Shedeur has. And Shedeur is giving you way more production, a higher QB rating in 2 of his games for sure. And the first 300-yard passing game from a rookie since Joe Burrow, which has been to a Super Bowl. So are we not to believe Shedeur could be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback with the performance he's putting up in his limited time starting as a rookie on the back end of the season? That being said, what was the reason for the Wildcat, or since they the dogs in Cleveland, the dog pound, they call it the Wild Dog? That's like the 4th time this season that either the head coach, which even then he has veto power of the play calling because he's relinquished play calling duties the time he reached the OC. One of you two, if not both, are not either believing in Shedeur to get the job done once he's driven you down there and brought you back in the game when you were down 2 touchdowns, or it's both of y'all colluding to either doubt his confidence or doubt his ability about being able to get the job done in those situations when he's the one that have you in a position to accomplish those feats of potentially tying the game, taking it to overtime, and winning the game. Now, if they're going to investigate the NBA for fraud, gambling, they're going to have to do some investigating to Kevin Stafansky, because either you're colluding or you're trying to make Shedeur look worse than what he is. Now, you can either put that on the owner, which the owner has firing power, which he can fire Stafansky if he doesn't like the performance Stefanski is putting forward with the personnel he's putting on the field. Or either the owner is cool with it because, as we know, mid-season or earlier in the season, the owner of the Cleveland Browns came out himself and volunteered information nobody asked for, talking about he didn't want the pick of Shedeur Sanders anyway. If he would have known a week earlier, he would have totally vetoed that pick. So if it ain't Stefanski, then it's ownership. So is it the front office or is it the head coach? Either way, Cleveland's going to have to move off Shedeur for Shedeur to be able to blossom and grow in a different situation. For those that really support him wholeheartedly, not only in press conference, political speech, political correctness, but those that proven it by putting the ball in his hands in those key and clutch situations, especially when he puts the organization in a position to win the game or potentially tie the game so that they can win the game. Well, all that being said, I appreciate you if you stuck around to the end. Please, again, subscribe, like the channel, and give me your questions or comments in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about how the game went yesterday between the Titans and Cleveland. Thank you, and don't forget, go for the gusto.